Gentleman from Cal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Floor Leader, could I ask a question? We were talking a minute ago about surplus military items. Could you tell me if you ready? Yeah. Could you tell me if an instance where in Calvert County where we have a SWAT team that's one of their responsibilities is the protection of Dominion Code Point gas plant plus the water and the platform out in the bay, and from time to time they receive the ability to be able to buy a surplus boat that they use anytime there's a tanker at the docks. The boats are in the water 24/7. Would that exclude them from having the ability to take a donation or to buy a surplus from the Navy or a vehicle, that all-terrain vehicle that could be used on the grounds down to the woods and down on the shore area? Would that stop them from being able to do that?
I don't believe that that's the case. However, having said that, we have our expert on all things militarized, the delegate from Montgomery County, and I'd like to yield to him, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I wouldn't have the concern that you are expressing about that particular vehicle. There was at some point in this discussion a debate about whether to prohibit both armored and weaponized and armored vehicles, and I think the language that you see before you simply refers to weaponized vehicles. So all of that other business with armored vehicles was kicked out. Not only that, the departments can still buy it with their own money. The bill was really trying to stop these unnecessary and excess transfers basically for free from the Pentagon over to local police departments. So you can get it from yourself if you feel you need to spend your own budget on that. That's your prerogative. But again, this is only about weaponized military equipment.
Well, I think my argument with you on that is these boats that they use out in the bay are weaponized. I mean, they're not out there just going around patrolling them waters with no weapons on them. And some of them have some fairly significant weapons on them. They don't necessarily put it out there because there's no reason to let everybody in the world know what they have there. But as far as the boat being weaponized, it probably is. It seems a waste of taxpayers' money to be able to buy a boat or a piece of equipment that could be used for another 5 or 10 years that they can get from the military at a really reasonable price, or some Humvees that may be armorized that they can use on the land where the rough and through the woods and down on the shorelines. It just seems like a real waste of money. Now, I would assume when I first read this, we were talking more about this military equipment that would be used on the streets and in the neighborhoods. But then it finally dawned on me that most counties, especially Calvert, has the technical SWAT teams that patrol and protect some pretty hard targets. And I'm sure there's other counties in the state that have the same thing. It just seems very wasteful to take the taxpayers' money to purchase new equipment like that when they can get it at a reasonable price from the military and use it for the tactical purposes that they have. So, yeah, I'm a little upset and concerned about that. And, I would think there needs to be some kind of wordage in there that allows them to be able to do that.
Yeah, thank you. And I would just say that when that reasonable price for the militarized equipment is free, the concern was, and it continues to be, that police departments will say, oh, this is free, and they start loading up on unnecessary equipment, and that once you have that equipment in the hands of local departments, again, we're talking about weaponized military equipment, that equipment starts to being used in inappropriate situations. I think we saw great debate over the last decade, I'd say, about seeing armored military vehicles starting to appear to police civilian speech in the United States, and so for the last several years, we've seen a wave of this. The Obama administration banned many of these types of transfers, and we did not see problems arising from that policy. So again, we are just talking about weaponized vehicles. If some local police department here seems to think they need a warship, patrolling in the Chesapeake Bay or off the coast of Ocean City, I suppose they can go into their budget and try to justify that. But at least we will have that discussion. Again, if the price is free, we fear that these are going to become toys overused by local police departments.
Well, I take a little offense to that because trust me, when these boys are out there on that bay guarding them ships full of LNG, they're not out there playing games. They're out there protecting people's lives and protecting the boaters and the people that are on the Chesapeake Bay. This isn't fun and games. They don't load up on this stuff down there because they're not looking at ordinary citizens. They're looking at terrorists. They're looking at people that could be out there to do harm to this country. And to say they're out there loading up to play games is offensive. That shows a total disrespect from you for the police department. Now, I don't get upset very often, but I just think your comments are way out of line, and I think that they should have the ability to save the taxpayers some money so we can put more money in our schools, more money for our people that are getting evicted from their homes in the counties, and more rental and affordable housing. Now, if there's something wrong with that, then I'm not sure why I'm even here.
Gentleman from Charles.
Thank you for that spirited comment, my colleague from Southern Maryland. I disagree wholeheartedly. I'm terrified to hear this. We have a Department of Homeland Security, for Christ's sakes. We've got the Coast Guard. We've got the National Guard. Are you telling me that now we're going to rely on local police officers, regardless of their training? We have these individuals. That's who I want to rely on when it comes to weaponized vehicles. They're not saying you can't buy them. They're saying you're not going to take them for free, because if you have toys, you don't play with them. We don't want you playing with them. I understand that's what they might be doing, but I pray as God is my witness that we use our military for what they're deserved to be used for, and our National Guard. And if we have a shortfall in your jurisdiction and there's something that's not safe, then our National Guard needs to be involved. We should not be relying on a single entity to protect such valuable assets with donated property, outdated property that may or may not work, because they're not giving it away, guys, because it's great. They're not giving it away because it's top of the line. You get it because it's outdated. The last thing you know is a flak vest that's been donated, because they have a shelf life of 7 years. So if you get one, you do so at your own risk. There comes a time when we have to face facts. We do want our military to be in charge of these things. I'm not casting aspersions on our military or the gentleman from Southern Maryland, but we do have to draw a line between military and Department of Homeland Security responsibility and our local county and municipality police forces. Please don't fall into this. We're not stripping them of what they have to do. They just might need to ask for help. Thank you.
Gentleman from Calvert.
My only response back to that is, you talk about drawing a line. The line got drawn when the Coast Guard came to the county years back and said, we can no longer patrol the boats that are out in the bay. We will not do that anymore. You have to come up with your own people to be able to protect that boat when it's in dock. They bring it up the bay, they take it down the bay. But when it's docked to that dock out off of Cove Point, we have 10 sheriff's deputies, SWAT teams that are paid for by Dominion, that are man them boats out there because the Coast Guard decided they no longer wanted to spend the money to do it.
Is there any further debate? Senate Bill 600 is on third reading and final passage. Clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
To explain my vote, Madam Speaker?
Gentlelady from Baltimore County to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to just explain why I'm a red